Let me tell you of the days of high adventure.
Hey, I'm Whimsy, and welcome to Crowned in Steel, a Conan the Barbarian simulator whose demo came out over a year ago. I happened across it in my Steam library and decided on a whim to give it a try. Better late than never, I suppose. The game begins without much fanfare, save for a ginormous lag spike. This is a super early build, so I'm expecting a little bit of scuff. The tutorial is clear and not too intrusive, though at times, it's a bit late. For example, it teaches me the basic directional attacks after I've already clobbered the guy in the room before. Combat works not too dissimilarly to Morrowind or Fly Knight, where the direction of the attack is dependent on the movement key you're holding. It takes some getting used to, but works pretty well. I find some fresh wine, which I down in one go before heading downstairs. The game continues to introduce its mechanics one by one, like chaining attacks. Following up a strike with another of the opposite direction is a good way to dish out a ton of damage in a very small amount of time, assuming your enemy doesn't dodge out of the way. Killing this guy gives me the Iron Sword, my weapon of choice going forward. I also find a shield, some wine, and some bread at the save point. The shield works just like Dark Souls. It's a continuous block you can hold down rather than the timed parry you have without it. The sword and board playstyle is very, very effective. I keep getting more Dark Souls vibes as I press onwards, especially when the level design opens up a little more and I can see future areas I'll explore later. The gate is locked, so I head down around this big tower, carving a path as I go. One thing this game desperately needs is a kick. Like here, with the guy standing at the edge of this cliff, I even checked the controls to make sure I wasn't missing a keybind somewhere. Oh well. Again, I have to highlight the level design. I love how I'm progressing around this big tower so I can gain entry, and then fight my way back up the inside so that I can cross the bridge I saw earlier. I'm introduced to these nimble goblin enemies. They'll dodge your attacks, jump over your swings, and duck under your swings, but they aren't too dangerous on their own. I also meet this nasty executioner brute with a two-handed sword. For some reason, he makes the same sound that the other goons and goblins do. Killing this guy earns me the Heavy Cleaver, a weapon that only does marginally more damage than the Iron Sword at the cost of equipping a shield. That I find a replacement for shortly after in the form of the Steel Shield, so we're back to sword and board for now. Fighting multiple enemies at once is kind of a pain. Even just these two guys here give me a run for my money. Part of the problem is the frequent frame drops. I don't have a particularly beefy rig, but my PC isn't a slouch either. The settings defaulted to glorious, yet my frame rate occasionally drops to the low 30s in certain areas. Worse yet, screwing with the graphics settings didn't help much. I lowered them down to high, then medium, then finally the lowest settings possible, and I was still occasionally dipping below 60 frames. I have a theory that it has something to do with the rain effects. Every time this issue has cropped up, it's been in outdoor areas or places where the rain is visible. Again, I'm very much aware that this is an early build of the game, and an older demo at that, but I'd rather point these kind of performance issues out rather than ignore them in the hopes that the game will eventually be optimized. I head upstairs and find another executioner, who gets me down to just 2 health. Thankfully, he left a roast chicken dinner sitting here on the table for me. This also earns me the key to the gate, where I'm forced to lag my way through a brawl with these two guys, one of whom accidentally falls off the bridge and the other manages to kill me. The game pulls this mean trick on me. It shows me a bottle that's slightly out of reach, and then places a goon around the corner to punish me for going for it. I fight my way downstairs, and to this room that took me far too many tries to clear. This room is the real test. The fight that will prove if you've mastered everything the game has taught you thus far. And I haven't. Finally! There's a banquet awaiting me in here, as well as this odd corner that lets me see through the map. The next area is this huge open courtyard full of goons. I'm sure by now the game expects me to have gotten the hang of its combat, but this takes a few tries. There's this locked armory here with a note, claiming that the key to the room has been lost. I'll have to keep an eye out for that. Side note and minor nitpick, this grind wheel in the courtyard is absolutely massive. For those that don't know, you're supposed to sit on this thing and use the pedal to keep the grinder moving. This thing is bigger than my player model, and its texture is obviously pretty low res and stretched. I take the ramparts and open the main gate, allowing me access to the docks. While looking around here for the key to the armory, I somehow manage to get myself stuck. Apparently, there's no way to get back onto the dock once you've stepped off it. Oh, and you fall through the map if you tread into the water. There's this cave full of goblins that absolutely bully me, but killing them all earns me the war axe. There's also another hole in the map here, but I didn't fall in this one this time. Guarding the ship that would be my ticket to freedom is this absolute unit of a boss, carrying a big two-handed axe. He gets the better of me a few times, and I'm forced to fight the goblins again each time. And that's it! For some reason the sound breaks when the game ends. I also never found that armory key. I even took time to look around and see if I could find it before I called it quits. So how was Crowned in Steel? Pretty damn good. Combat is one of those easy to pick up, hard to master kind of things, and at no point did I feel like I mastered it. But that's okay. I appreciate the difficulty because it almost always felt fair. We need more games inspired by the sword and sorcery genre, and considering that many of Robert E. Howard's stories are public domain now, there's no reason not to explore that absolute goldmine. My only complaint is that the game needs a lot more polish and optimizing. It shouldn't run this poorly for a game that looks like this. I also wouldn't mind a little more enemy variety in the future. As of right now, we've got a heavy guy, a medium guy, and a little goblin guy. That's a good foundation to build more on too. For example, I'd love to see some evil undead, giant serpents, or giant giants for that matter. I'll be keeping my eye on this one, in the hopes that one day I can cover its 1.0 release. Until then, I'll see you around.